So, good afternoon, guys. If you are answering this first one, straight away x equals 4 and y equals -3 should stand out to you as like really weird ones, which we can place quite easily. If I have a look at my, 4 graphs that I'm trying to match it up with, I'm looking for one where I have a line that sits on x equals 4 the whole time. So like, for example, you can see here, that is the point on the x line, right? On the x line where x equals 4. And this line stays on there the whole time. So that one has to be that one. Whereas this one here, this line sits on y equals -3 the whole time. So that one has to be there. And then for these other two here, I'm going to go off the y-intercepts. So one of them is at plus 5.1. The other one's at plus 1.5. You can see this line here passes through the y-axis at about 5.1. This one passes through at about 1.5. I'm going to match that up to that and that up to that and call it a win, okay? So that would be all 4 correct like that. This one here, first thing it asks us to do is find the vertical distance between points A and B. So that's the distance from here to here. So if we count, and that's our rise, remember? If we count, that's going down 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could say it's -4. And then from left to right, which will be my run, I've gone across 1, 2, 3. So I have a run of 3. So my vertical distance was 4. My horizontal distance, so that's left. So this vertical distance is up and down. Remember, horizontal is left to right, is 3. The distance along the line from like point A to point B, if you guys remember, we use this big ugly formula here. Rise squared plus run squared, which I know most of us have on our page of notes, which is very important. And then replacing the rise with 4, because that's what we increase by, and my run with 3, it would look like 4 squared plus 3 squared, which is equal to 5. Calculating the coordinates of the midpoint. Look, there's a couple ways you can do that, but we've been using this formula here. And in order to use this formula, I would have to mark A and B, like label the coordinates of each point. So at B, I'm at 1, I didn't mean to draw that line, we're at 1, -1. And at point A, I'm at -2, and I'm up 3. So if I put my points over here, -2, 3, 1, -1, and I label them, so I've got x1, y1, x2, y2, and then I make the substitutions. So x1 and plus x2, I'm going to have -2 plus 1. All right, so that was this one here plus this one here. And then for my y coordinates, I'm going to have y1, which is 3, plus y2, which is -1 over 2. -2 plus 1, do I have much space below? Yeah, I do. Let's go below. -2 plus 1, we would get -1 divided by 2. And 3 plus -1 is the same as saying 3 minus 1. So essentially I have 2 over 2. Simplifying that down, you could leave it as -0.5. You could write it as -0.5. Either is fine with me. 2 over 2 becomes 1 though, okay? And that would be our answer. And if you were to like label that on here, -0.5 in the x and 1 in the y would look like right there. And that looks, you can see that's halfway between A and B. So we're good. All right. Next one. Motorbike fuel tank. It's being filled at 2 litres per minute. So to begin with, there's no fuel in it. And then we'd have 2 litres, 4 litres, 6 litres, 8 litres, 10 litres, right? Every minute. These are my minutes here. For every minute, we got 2 litres, as you can see. So we've answered part A, completing the table. Part B, they want us to plot these points. So that's a set of points, that's a set of points, that's a set of points, and so on. And if you recall to like way these questions are normally written in class, normally that's x and y there. So for this first point, I'm at 0, 0, right in the center. For this next point, x is 1, y is 2. So go across 1, up 2, and then across 2, up 4, and so on. And then this is part where I've neglected to bring a ruler, sorry, but you guys should have a ruler in the test. And you would connect those lines up stick an arrow in either end, and call it a day. For this bit here, give a rule for v in terms of t. This is a little typo for me. That should say v, not l. So essentially, we're trying to find the rule of a straight line, which if you look at your notes, normally it looks like this. It's just that in this case, y, as you can see, is v, and x, as you can see, is t. So I'm going to write that as v equals something t plus something. If you recall, in the second box here, we have when x is 0, what does y equal? As you can see, we're right on the origin, so that's going to be plus 0. And then there's a couple ways you can find this other box. One way is looking at the table and going, what am I adding up by each time? Well, I'm going up by 2, aren't I? So that means my gradient is 2. And so you could rewrite this as v equals 2t, and that would be your final answer. Last thing says, use your rule to work out how long it would take to reach 20 litres full. 20 litres is a volume, so it's going to be replacing v. So I'm going to have 20 equals 2t using my rule, right, like I've said. So essentially this means that 20 equals 2 times something. All right, so 2 times what would be 20? Well, that would have to be 10, right? So t would equal 10. As we can see, that's in minutes. So 10 minutes. And that would be your answer. All right, this one here, state the gradient of the line. So if you guys remember, the base equation of the line is y equals mx plus c. Gradient is there. Y-intercept is there. So gradient, in this case, I have a 2 in place of the gradient, so I'm going to put a 2. Next part, state the y-intercept of the line. I have a -5 in place of the y-intercept, so I'm going to write -5 in this case. Excuse me, in this case here. Find the value of y when x equals 2. So we're going to be doing a substitution here. So replacing the x with a 2, I get 2 times 2 minus 5, y equals -1. After this then, to plot it on the line, I'm going to start with the y-intercept. So put that down. Remember that's on the y-axis. So I'm going to put that dot there. Then using the gradient as my instruction, I have 2 over 1. So I'm going to rise to, remember this, and this is my rise over run, right? If we think about the gradient, I'm going to rise to and run 1. So I go up 1, 2, and I run 1. Go up 1, 2, and I run 1. Okay. And then once again, a ruler would be ideal here, but I did forget to bring one. So we'll just have to do that for now. And if you remember what I said in class, brownie points, if you can label that line with an equation. Okay. Cool. And then that one there is also answered. All right. We are tracking some kangaroos. Kangaroo A is at -5, 0. So that's going to be right here. Kangaroo B is at 3, -6. So that is going to be down here. I'm going to make it very clear. I'm going to put A and B on my diagram. We've plotted the coordinates. Also, we've answered part A. Part B, find the distance from A to B. So we want to find this distance here. And in order to do that, I'm going to need my rise and my run. My rise and my run. Going down, you can see my rise is 6. And across, if you count it out, you'll find that the run is 8. And then same as a previous question, we're using this lovely formula here, which, like I said, we've all written down in our notes, I'm sure. So that means that D equals, so replacing the rise with 6. And I should probably note, because we're falling, this is a -6, and you could put -6 in here, and you will get the same answer as long as you use those brackets. Plus 8 squared, and that should equal 10. Okay. The midpoint between the two, I know I showed you how to do it using the formula on the previous one, but I'll show you a different way this time. So remember, the midpoint is just halfway between A and B. So let's look at what would be halfway vertically. If I've gone down 6, I need to go down 3. So from starting up here at 0 and going down 3, I would end up at -3. All right, so my coordinates, which remember is going to be like x and y, the y coordinate is going to be -3. In terms of the x, going from -5 to 3, I've traveled 8, which means half of that would be 4. Well, I probably shouldn't label it there, but half of that would be 4. So going across 1, 2, 3, 4. puts me at -1, and as you can see, -3, -1, -3 is my halfway point. After that, hang on, I'm just gonna pause. All right, what happened there? All right, for this last one here, where we're asked to find the gradient. If you guys remember, gradient is equal to rise over run. In this case, we decided that the gradient was -6. The rise was -6 and the run was 8. All right, so we end up with -3 out of 4. And that's my answer. That's my gradient. All right, this last one. Local farm, they're harvesting strawberries every day, and we're shown how much they get. They have asked us to create the equation, right, which would be, this lovely format here. And normally we look at, what's the common difference, what are we adding up by each time. They've tricked us, though, because instead of going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up the top, they've gone 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So what I would need to do is fill in those gaps. So this, I need to know what it is when it's 1, what it is when it's 2, and so on and so forth, okay? So between 0 and 2, halfway is 1, so what would be halfway between 5 and 10? That would be 7.5. Same here, that would be, not 10.5, that would be 12.5 in here. So what are we going up by each time? We're going up by 2.5, okay, 2.5. So that's going to be what goes in this box here, 2.5. And then for the other box, if you remember, we look at when x equals 0, y equals what? I can see x equals 0 is there, and at that point, y equals 5. So we're going to put a 5 in here. Awesome. Last question. Using the equation, calculate the total number of strawberries harvested after 20 days. So number of days is x, right? So after 20 of those days, using my equation, I've got 2.5 times 20 plus 5. So I've ended up with 2.5 times 20, so we should have 50 plus 5. We should have 55 strawberries. Cool. Thanks, guys.